Yo, what's up, bro?
What's going on, man?
I'm good, bro. How you feeling?
I'm cool, man. I'm cool. It's decent weather out here in Atlanta. It's not the best, but it's getting the job done.
This is the first episode of Culture Uncut, man. We've been talking about this podcast for a long time, right? Supposed to do it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Your knees keep failing. You're busy out there. You're selling homes. You're bringing things together. Your vision is coming together. I'm over here working, right? Trying to work myself back to a point that I once was at, but nonetheless, continuing to work. And I think it's important that we talk about the things that are important to us, man. So go ahead, man. The stage is yours. You know what I mean? All the time, as always. Do your thing.
Hey, man, you brought up the knees. Listen, the knees is rough, man. So as P alluded to, I definitely had some knee surgeries coming out of the military. The military ages you, right? So you jump out of enough helicopters, fast rope down, do enough ruck marches, and get in and out of up armored vehicles. You hit them enough to need some surgeries. But a little bit about me: Chester native, went to Chester High. Um, After high school, went to Howard. I'm currently out here in Atlanta. Did 8 years in the military, and right now I'm both an investor, a realtor, and a property manager. That's very excited to start a new position in operations with a gas company. So super excited there. And while we're on the podcast, some of the things that I want to try and bring to the forefront is understanding ROI and opportunity costs. And while we're having these discussions, you're going to see that this bleeds into politics, it bleeds into business, and ultimately, how does a community thrive? And so that's my twist.
Yeah, we had these conversations so many times before. I'm trying to bring this bond back. There we go. We had these conversations so many times before. We were in Chestorians together. I think that was a great, that was very monumental for our community during a time when we didn't know what was happening, right? Everything had shut down, and we were trying to bring some brothers together to talk about the betterment of our community, right? How to make our community better. I believe that there are different factions, right? A question that I always wanted to ask somebody: if we were in a post-apocalyptic world, right? What 12 people would you want to take with you to recreate this society, and what people would you leave behind, right? And let's see where we're at.
That's tough. You want me to go on that, or you want to wait for somebody to comment?
No, I mean, how I feel. I love when people, participate in the podcast, but I really don't need them to. You feel me? So, a post-apocalyptic world for me, I'm gonna start it off. A post-apocalyptic world for me would be, of course, a doctor. You feel me? A lawyer to run the courts. Um, Someone that understands gardening and planting, right? Someone that understands water systems. You feel me? How to get water, how to get fresh water. An electrician. You feel me? A carpenter, right? All of these are skills that we could teach other people, right? So of course we'll have more than just 12 people, but these are the main people, the leaders of our society moving forward. Of course, I would then say just regular people that have a love and a driving force to help their community thrive, right? Of course, an accountant. I don't know how much real estate we'll have, but you serve as an accountant, a money manager, a real estate agent. You hold a lot of hats, bro. So you're in that group. But how does that look for you, right? What 12 people or 10 people would you want to take to solidify moving us forward?
Yeah, I mean, you started with doctor and lawyer. Definitely agree that those roles are needed. I probably would start with the trades first. And you started getting on them. You said gardening,
Mhm.
um, a plumber, electrician, a carpenter. To be honest, I think those folk right there are the big four. And I think more people need to consider going into trades and
Come on.
and avenues to get into trades. Uh, I know a lot of people that go into the military because they're virtually going to pay for everything. You got to serve. They're going to set you up for success, and then you get out and you start to go into your trade. Um, I, I I'm disappointed that more black people from my community or just communities that are like Chester don't consider the military more often. And this is not me saying the military is a plug to get people to like join the military. This is me saying join the military for my personal experience and the experience of all of my friends that I've met.
Mm,
It's a head start in life.
right.
There's some customs and courtesies, some disciplines that you got to learn while you're in there. Obviously, you're going to learn your craft, but ultimately, I am better coming out than I was going in.
Hmm.
And when you consider anything, you're always looking at the ROI. Like, what am I getting? They're going to get something from you. What are you getting from them? They're getting from me my life. Right? Because at the end of the day, I signed a dotted line that say I'm willing to die for this.
I'm willing to
Right?
die. Right.
Yeah. So ultimately, like, what am I getting back from the service? And what I've got back, or what I have gotten back from the service, is big. It gave me a head start in life. And so we talked about those four: gardening, water systems, or plumber, electrician, carpenter. The next one I would probably go for is the synergist, right? So like you need a leader.
Mm,
Somebody has to bring it all together and map out the plan. Um, People don't talk about how important your operations guy is enough. That's my craft, operations, right? How do you bring together the plan? And sometimes ops guys, we lean away from the emotion of things and lean more into the logic. And sometimes that's a bad thing, right? Because
it
you want
is.
to remain, yeah, you want to remain emotional. But emotion sometimes can cloud your better judgment. And so I like to plan things logically first, and then go back into like, okay, who's going to be affected by this? How are they going to be affected? Right? Who's going to benefit from it? Um, and from that, you can see which one of your courses of action makes the most sense.
Yeah, that's a lot of our arguments. Me and you. That's a lot of our. Come on, P man. You gotta. No, bro. You gotta be more. No. And I said the other day we had a nice conversation. I think we were on this Zoom meeting for like at least 3 hours, man. It was
Right.
2:41 when we ended. I was like, yo, we was on this train forever, but we talked about a lot. I got to understand more about Nasir, right? More about what drives Nasir, what helps Nasir understand, his ROI, right? And I told you when you graduated high school, you were concerned with your ROI. I wasn't worried about my ROI. I was trying to DIE. You feel me? Like I was ready to go. You feel me? I was ready to run out here to the street and give my life because I didn't see any value in it, right? And there are a lot of people that grow up that way. You feel me? There are a lot of people that don't have you had the luxury of having your father in your life. And I tell people how important it is for me. It became very once my son was born, my life changed. You feel me? Because I couldn't have him doing what I did. Because the only thing he could get from that life was death, because I got everything else. Right. So they like to say the sins of the father are passed down to the son. Right. So I didn't want that to be an effect for my son. So that's when everything changed. And I was upstate dealing with missing my son. He was born November 8th of 2026. I turned myself to go upstate in on February 7th, the day after the Super Bowl, whatever day that was. And it hit me when I was up there. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna miss the first 18 years of my son's life. I can't miss any more time after that. You feel me? Because
Right.
if I miss any more time, I'm leaving him out here for anyone to grab a hold of him. Not some, and I don't mind sending him to somebody while I'm here. I don't mind. I let him call you. He said he wanted to go into the Air Force. I had him call you. I had him call Andrew. I know people. You feel me? So if I can send him to someone that can assist him and give him more information than I have, that's a plus. You feel me? But if I'm not here to make sure he's going to the right person, what happens then? So for me, that's when my life changed. Yes, I had daughters prior to my son, but I didn't feel the need to be heavily entrenched in their life the way I had to be entrenched in my son's life, right? And you can say that makes him my favorite. It's really not. I'm the hardest on him. You feel me? I expect him to stand up to a lot and withhold a lot. You feel me? Like and be able to stand up and just be a man, right? Not to withhold. I'll use the wrong word there, right? But just be able to stand up and absorb the pressures of life. You feel me? So yeah, when we have the conversation on building a better community, the first place that I want is the fathers. I need the fathers to know how important, how integral they are to a community thriving and surviving. Because without the fathers, then the mothers have to play a dual role, and they can't. You know what I mean? And without the mothers, so mothers and fathers, I definitely need that. I need that in my group.
That's
Now
tough,
you can be
man.
whatever you want to be. You could be a doctor and a mother, a doctor and a father, right? But being able to show your child the mistakes that you made, being able to talk to your child, being able to relate to your child growing up in that situation is imperative. It's important for me because I don't want my son to make my mistakes. I don't want him to make too many mistakes, but I know in life mistakes will happen. You feel me? Like, but I want him to be able to stand on his mistakes and say, all right, yeah, I can't let this happen again. Be able to examine them, go back and look at them again, right? So for me, that's where I'm at, right? And we had that conversation yesterday, and you were like, wow, I never saw it that way. Even though you know the benefit of having a father, right? You never didn't have a father, right? So you wouldn't know. So I'm just speaking where I stand at.
For sure, for sure. I mean, I think having a dad is critical for any child. I mean, there's actually statistics on. I'm not throwing any shade to the moms out there. Listen, there is a place for moms. I love my mom. I love my pop.
Absolutely.
But statistics would suggest another story. Statistically speaking, if it is a dual parent household or a male only household as opposed to the female, kids generally become more successful under the household of a father.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I was to speculate on why I think that may be the case, I think accountability, and it's not to say that moms don't hold their children accountable. I think the way in which men hold their children accountable as opposed to women is different. I'm not saying better, different. And I think that difference has an outcome that helps children progress faster.
I'm,
Um,
I'm still waiting on the rest of your list, man. You only name
yeah,
you
yeah.
still you name your trades, and
So
I get it. Like if you like everything you name plus these, right? All right, that's cool.
yeah, I think that was my starting five.
Right,
The gardener, the plumber, the electrician, the carpenter, and the leader. That's
right.
my starting five. Next would probably be a doctor. Um, I would definitely want to have a chemist. Um, After the doctor and the chemist, a biologist. So now we're at what, eight? So I got four more spots that are crucial. Um, I would probably go with accountant.
Hmm.
So that's nine.
Hmm.
Three left.
What,
We
what
talked lawyer.
what would the accountant be doing if we don't have no money? We got to establish
Uh,
money.
we'll we'll be building a system. When any society starts out, if we're talking post-apocalyptic, right?
Right.
Like it's going to start with a bartering system.
Okay.
And so establishing the rules around that bartering system, the accountant and the lawyer will kind of tie hand in hand. And it's, I guess, for argument's sake, it'd be less accountant and more an economist.
Okay.
How are we going to establish this society moving forward? And so that leader will be tied at the hip with those two often, right? The economist and the lawyer. And then the other ones, the trades and the scientists, are going to help push things along. I feel like if I got I think I was at nine. I don't even have to really get to the 12th. I think the nine would be able to start a community.
Nine. Okay. Awesome.
And that's not to say that other roles aren't important, right? There's
Right.
obviously more roles in a society, but if I needed to start a society,
Right.
those ones are critical.
Okay. All right. What kind of those things that aren't visible that takes you to know someone to understand the type of person they are. What kind of traits would you say these people should have?
Jesus.
Hmm. You said what? You said what?
Jesus. I'm saying Jesus, man. Listen,
But what if they
I,
not right? So
I,
I say this, right? You know, I'm not heavily religious. I am spiritual. I do believe that religion is a personal journey, right? Now you can bring other people in with you that believe with you, but it's still a personal journey, right? So you don't knock any religion, you don't tear any religion down, right? So can we just say God?
that's tough. Listen, if someone believes in something else, I do agree with the right of finding your own religious path and
Right,
values.
right.
But if I'm a Bible believing Christian,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm not going to necessarily say you can go the other path, right? I will allow you to operate and follow the path that you decide to follow. But if I'm creating this thing, I'm
Mm-hmm.
putting Jesus at the forefront. That's
So
just
you
it
gonna
is
kick
what it
kick
is.
me out? I'm not allowed in.
I ain't saying you couldn't be there. I'm
If I don't
saying
want
that
to
we're
go to
going
church
to
on Sunday, you feel me?
see. That's the thing about being a Bible believing Christian. It's not about going to church on Sunday.
Awesome. All right, good. As long as I'm praying,
Um,
I'm gonna pray. I'm definitely gonna pray. I'm gonna pray for some
now
rain. I don't know
I
what
would
I'm
say
doing.
that's a portion though. That's a
Right.
portion because
Right.
going to church is renewing your spirit and taking a piece of that bread. You need your daily bread.
Yeah.
And sometimes being a part of a community, right, going into the walls of the church, helps you receive that bread better than you would on your own.
If
Because
you
I
could
mean
say
we're natural
anything,
born sinners.
if you could say anything to the church right now about our culture, our communities, what would you ask them for?
Get outside of the walls of the church.
Mm.
Uh, and doing so, that's the start, right? Like getting outside is one thing, but being able to meet people where there are, that's number one. Because I think there's a stigma around how you walk your line with faith. God is going to accept you where you are.
Yes, he is.
If but the problem is the community wants you to progress at their rate and not at your rate and the rate that God has placed for you. Right. So like everyone's a sinner. It doesn't matter if you in the church or not in the church. The pastor's a sinner. But if you believe in Jesus, then you are a sinner.
Right.
Period. You have to atone for your sins,
Yes, you
right?
do.
But the church needs to get outside of the walls, and the church needs to be comfortable creating relationships with people to help not only spread the gospel, but ultimately uplift the community that it serves.
So I've been doing a lot of reading on that, and the understanding is, and look, brother Tom Outland just said what I was about to say. Religion divides us. You feel me? There was back in the day um, when we were trying to get equal rights, and the church did everything. The church had everything, right? If you need to buy insurance, you go to the church. You need help, go to the church. You need a direction, you go to the church. You need a place to stay, you go to the church. The church was our foundation building, right? Why did that leave? Why is that not applicable today, right? Where's the church when we have everybody out here, just running amok?
Well, I want to address the one elephant in the room.
Go ahead.
I would not say that the church divides us. Religion, for that matter, religion does not divide us. Um, the lack of intelligence or the lack to want to find more is what divides us. Right. And so when you look at and this is a myth that like, and I'm not putting a race right onto this, but
Right.
when you look at the Black community, religion has been the grounding feature for our culture since existence. Right. So to say that religion is the thing that divides us, it's a bit disingenuous. I think the problem is when you look at religion from a historical standpoint and you include other cultures and other pasts, you have to grapple with religious wars, right? And then people do fight for religious reasons. The issue then becomes, why are they fighting? They're compelled to fight for the religious aspect, but ultimately the leaders within the organization were dividing resources. And so it kind of changes the argument from a religious war to a war of resources. And that much is going to be true with anything, whether it's religion, whether it's gang wars, whether it's Chester versus Brookhaven, right? You can tie yourself to whatever you want. Religion is not the dividing factor. The inability to have empathy and understand one's your situation and someone else's situation is the issue. Just like I said, I'm personally going to lean on being a Bible believing Christian. That doesn't mean I'm not going to have a place in my society for Muslims.
Right.
That doesn't mean I'm not going to have a place in my society for other types of Christians. It just means that I think there are some synergies and some commonality that I can immediately hedge on and work together with Christians that believe in the same God that I do a lot faster than I could with someone else, where we have to ultimately overcome the hurdle that is, how do we see the world?
Right. Right. Have you ever tried to, for me, I was in every religion, right? My father was Catholic. You feel me? He was Haitian. My grandmother was African Methodist Episcopal. She went to Murphy Church. She went to church every Sunday. My uncle was Jewish, right? You know, so when I was coming up, I was mad at God. I was mad at God because he took my father. I was mad. How can you be so great, but take a man that's so great and leave everybody else here with their fathers half drunk, half high, running around, the robbers? You could have took 30 other men other than taking my father. So I was very upset with God until I was in my grandmother's house. And one morning I woke up early and I heard this brother call out the Adhan, right? And it just made me want to go over there and ask what they did, right? And I went into the masjid and I talked to a lot of brothers, and that was the first time I ever felt safe, right? Reading the Quran, understanding to pray 5 times a day. Now things changed because my view changed on what I wanted, but I still consider myself Muslim, right? I pray, I give, I do for my community, right? And that's really where I'm at. But I was in every religion, so I got to be a part and see how it helps its community and how clean it truly is. Sunday morning, coming home from church, my grandma in the kitchen talking about the lady in her hat. My mom, you're not supposed to do that. You feel me? So you also get to see the bad sides of every religion. You feel me? So for me, it was like it's a personal journey because I can't follow you because you believe something else that the book really says, but it doesn't mean that way. So it's based on interpretation. You feel me? And a lot of people use their interpretation to justify their means. You feel me? Justify their anger, their attitude, their feelings, and it wasn't written. I don't think the book was written that way. I think when you think about who Jesus was and the people and the 12 people, he had 12 people also. You feel me? So it's a number for that 12. The 12 people that follow him were all sinners. They were all imperfect people, right? So if Jesus realized that the most imperfect will follow me, you feel me? While the perfect people were sitting there criticizing and throwing and spitting and trying to get him knocked off the boat because they were judging the other people, right? Go ahead
Can
and say
we
what you got to
can
say.
we change one word?
Go ahead.
Can we change perfect and imperfect to broken? I I lean heavily on the words we choose to describe something,
Okay.
because yes, you can say imperfect means a degree of broken, but it doesn't completely unpack the story. I I need I need people to understand the followers of Jesus were broken, right? And to be made whole and accept that daily bread, accept your father, that's the only way to make yourself whole, right? And we were talking about religion. I didn't know this conversation was going to go
No, no,
down the
no, no,
path
no.
of religion.
It was just something real
Uh,
quick. We not staying in it. We not staying in it. Right, we're not staying in it because I
all right,
understand. Like I said, it's a personal journey, so we don't even have to stay in it. Right, we're,
for
we're
sure, for sure, for sure.
this is not nothing to crucify anybody's beliefs or to turn anybody off. This is what we deal with in our community, right? When we talk about culture uncut. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to lean into the things that make this community move forward and the things that hold us back. You feel me? And it's tons of things that hold us back. There's tons of things that move us forward, right? Right now it's Black History Month, right? How do you feel about Black History Month?
Um, that's a loaded question. I mean, I'm always excited to celebrate.
Right.
um, but every month should be Black History Month.
Every month.
American culture is Black culture, right? I had a conversation when I was in the military with one of the guys I was in with, and I was like, of all the months, why did Black History Month get 28 days, right? And his response was, well, we don't have a White History Month. And I was like, that's fair, right? But every day is a celebration to be in existence and be white, right? Because in America's context, white people were never prosecuted at the rate that like Black people were prosecuted. And when white people were marginalized, it was marginalized off of their ties to another group, not off of the context of their skin.
Right.
And so for that, we need to be celebrated. I do believe in reparations. So at some point, reparations need to be on the table. I don't necessarily agree with some of the takes that people have on reparations for Black people. I think reparations is simple and that there's a lot of things that can be rolled out. But the same way that Black people were marginalized and excluded, at least from the foundation, I think that's where we should start the conversation for reparations, right? And so how are Black people marginalized, right? The baseline is the people that signed the Constitution, right? They were white, they were male, and they owned property.
Mm.
And we have to double up on this idea of property because that means both physical land
Mm.
and people.
Okay.
And yes, property means people. They were slave owners,
Okay.
right? And so when we talk about reparations for Black people, we got to understand and address the elephant in the room that people and from a historical context means the right to do trade and business, right? So when we talk about reparations today for Black people, what does that look like? We need inroads in acquiring land, establishing businesses, right? And we have to stop internally struggling with fighting with our own ranks, right? There's a lot of Black divide between the Black person, the Black male leading versus the Black female leading, right? We did all that. If we can understand how to acquire land and start businesses, we will acquire enough leverage to change the systems ourselves. So like an example I always give for reparations, everybody always talk about, oh, give us money. Nah, give me a home loan. I would prefer the home loan.
What kind
Right.
of
So
home
like
loan?
I think the Black community deserves its own product for home loans. Right. So when you think about the FHA loan, fair housing, right? That loan was established to help people get into homes, right? And technically it was originally its intent was low income, right? But low income white, if we're being true, right? And then you got like the VA loan, right? Well, that's specifically designed for veterans, which I'm a beneficiary of because I'm a veteran.
Okay.
You have the USDA loans, right? Where it is about finding agricultural, like rural areas and building on them. I think Black people deserve their own loan product, right? And it's going to the upfront cost.
Can't hear you.
My bad. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You good?
My bad. Business doesn't stop. I got a call coming in. I may have to switch to my laptop. I think yeah, no, she's emailing. Give me I hate to do this. Give me a second. I'm gonna switch from my phone to my laptop. I didn't expect calls coming in as much as they're coming in, but
Yeah, you already know you're busy working, man.
Yeah. I think the loan product is crucial. And then set asides. So like for grants, loan products currently at the federal level and at the state level, there's a thing called set asides, where businesses can lobby for these funds, whether it be offering services or products. And those set asides are set for groups to benefit from, right? So like they're set asides for veterans, they're set asides for small business. I think if you fall into the realm of a Black small business, then there should be set asides,
Mhm.
inroads to allow me to navigate and achieve financial, success or capital.
So how
Um,
would this be something that we push for, right? Something that we require? Is this something that a senator, or a congressman, or a bill could be passed to do something like this, right? Like how do we find inroads to that?
um, yes, I think the political arm matters, right? Because ultimately they're going to be the ones fighting the fight to get it to create legislative change.
Right.
Um, but the problem is money is the milk to politics, right?
Mm,
If you don't have money, you can't milk the system,
mm.
right? So I am less a believer in going through the political process and more a believer in creating financial leverage. If you
Okay.
have financial leverage, you can sway the political process. Now it's unfortunate by design, the process has always been enabled by money.
Right.
The intent, or at least how we profess it, it shouldn't be guided by money, but it always has been guided by money. So again, when we talk about the Constitution and the way it was signed, you had to be white, you had to be a male, and you had to own property. That, for its foundation, already set the tone to the intent to how things would be executed. So, like, stop going for politics, at least initially, and go towards getting the back as a community.
So as a community, right? Because we've had this conversation, you always tell me, bro, if you ain't getting no money, don't do it. Like stop pouring money, stop taking money out of your pocket to do things in the community. And I get what you're talking about, right? You need money for the station, right? I get that. And maybe that's where we differ, right? Because I believe that everyone deserves access to information. Everyone deserves access to communication. Not there, we don't differ there. And I will give from my pocket to make sure that someone can learn something new or do something new with that information, right? It's not a problem for me. Because I've had money before, and I know I didn't do that well with it, right? So now that I don't and I get money, I want to make sure you know um, I can move the culture forward, right? So for me, what what do you think is that? Where you at? You switch it over.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm switching up.
All right. What do you think is that thing um, that can that on the reparations side, but other than what can generate that money for
hey
us?
P, can you hear me?
You can't hear me?
Oh man, what happened? I lost you.
You lost me? Come on, Nas.
All right,
You
there we
gonna
go. My fault.
you
Can you hear me?
back? Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
that's on me. That's on me. I had my laptop on mute.
All right. What do you think is that thing that we can do in our community to generate that money, right? And not do it in a way where maybe that's just our community where everybody just wants to eat more than the next person, right? And I get that. That's capitalism, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we benefit from those systems being applied to our community because we're behind. We're behind them about 400 years. So we
I don't.
can't take advantage of capitalism. We can't be selfish with our money, right? Oprah and all them millionaires, they need to be sharing their money to build us up, right?
I don't think abandoning capitalism is the route we should necessarily go down. I think capitalism, if anything, serves us, but we have to understand how to operate in a capitalistic society, to which I don't necessarily think our communities or communities like ours understand how to thrive in a capitalistic society.
Okay.
Um, I think there's two very important concepts that anyone in a capitalistic state has to understand. That's ROI and opportunity costs. And when you examine your opportunity costs, you have to evaluate it off of a time continuum, right? Like Too often we look at our decisions based on how much money am I going to invest now, and once I'm able to utilize this product or service, what is my immediate return? And I think evaluating things from an immediate return standpoint is what hurts us, right? So another term that people use when we evaluate things off of an immediate evaluation is fast money, right? I think that's a more popular term that people use, right? We're too focused on fast money. I focus on percentages. What is my overall return after I invest in something over a certain time frame? Give me 2 seconds.
Patience. Listen, he talking about ROIs and all that other stuff, and I'm not saying right. We shouldn't be thinking about that as a culture, as people, right? I'm just heavy on the love, right? And if you're heavy on the love too, you can download cmpradio.net live 365, man, and tune in to our radio show that we do, Let's Love Again, where we talk about relationships and different things like that. Check out the Cut Up podcast, right? Look, I was introducing another podcast while you were like, I didn't know how long you was going to be gone.
Yeah, my fault, man. It was the cleaning.
That's okay.
I guess they didn't see that there was a cleaning on the calendar today, so tough.
So for me, right, I don't have a problem with socialism. I don't think we should have a problem with socialism. Communities need socialism. Now, I'm not saying I want an imperialist socialist, telling me I can't go to the bathroom and what time I gotta go to the bathroom, but sharing wealth with others, sharing information with others leads to a healthy society. You can't say it doesn't, for real, because if you look over at these areas that use moderate socialism, not the heavy stuff, not the communism, but the moderate socialism, they're thriving. Right?
That's tough, man.
Their schools are thriving, right? Things are happening because they're giving back, right? Everybody gets to make. I said this. Maybe this is imaginary. No one should make more money than the teachers, the fire, and the police officers.
I don't necessarily.
I know you don't. The teachers teach our children. You understand what I'm saying? Teach our children how to be students, how to grow, how to learn. The police department protects us. And the fire department, are you going to run into a burning house?
I have.
I bet you have. Right?
That's just technically I'm lying. It wasn't a burning house. It was a burning, essentially a tank. My soldiers were in there and a fire caught on. And so I ran in and put the fire out. But
so you can, but you understand the thought process that goes into a person's head when they have a job to do, and those are like 3 essential jobs for our community. Without those 3 people doing their jobs, we really wouldn't have a society at all. We wouldn't be able to get new presidents without teachers. We wouldn't be able to get new accountants, new doctors, new lawyers, new anything without teachers. And without police, you wouldn't be able to walk outside without shooting somebody.
Yeah, that's tough though, right? Because I'm not saying that those
economics, right?
I'm not saying that those roles don't matter. They definitely matter. I think teachers should be paid more. I don't necessarily think cops should be immediately paid more. And I'm not a part of the cohort of people that say defund the police. I think that's an idiotic solution.
It is.
I do think that there should be more restrictions with how police officers govern themselves.
Okay.
I think teachers' salaries should probably go up by at least 20%.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they should be among the highest paid in society.
Oh yeah, they should be. Because then they wouldn't have a problem going to work. Then they wouldn't have a problem showing up. Then they would care about the children. Back in the day, they used to care.
I don't think the salary is going to drive their ability to care more. So there's a lot of roles in our society that are fiduciary, right? So we'll use the example of a financial advisor, right? They get paid based off your ability to make money. And so based off of that relationship, one would expect that they are going to make decisions that are in my best interest. Well, that's not necessarily the case, right? Because they are paid based off of their ability to make money. Now, we have to talk about ROI and risk, right? So as a financial advisor, I'm incentivized to make money. So I'm going to put your money into a system that will potentially generate the most money, period, because that's how I get paid. But then what about the risk factor, right? So I can put your money into an account that can generate a, 10x return, but it's risky as hell. Or I can put it in a account that generates a 2x return and there's almost no risk. Well, technically I'm going to get paid from the 2x return, but wouldn't I rather get paid from the riskier 10x?
Yeah,
Right?
I'm with risk it all. I go into the casino. I only got $300. I play one hand. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. It's over. You feel me?
Right. But then if we're not necessarily accounting for the risk, then you're not doing something for my best interest. You're looking for the return. Right. And so this goes back to the conversation of ROI, opportunity cost, and understanding things on a time continuum. Right. You have to evaluate things based on the projection, but then the risk associated with the projection. And so how do we tie that back into Chester, right? Like there's things that everybody wants to do with Chester. You want to improve the school district. You want to improve the housing infrastructure. You want to improve the police force. All of it costs money. All of it has a projection, right? And in terms of like timeline. And then if you achieve its perfect end state, it's all going to affect the community differently. Which one matters more?
The school
And that would be
district.
why the school district. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but you got to be able to support the argument. Why the school district?
Because those are where our future leaders come from. Those are where the people learn to love their community, learn to share with their community. If they're not learning there, they're not learning anywhere. You feel me? And especially now with, and I'm not knocking none of the parents out here. I get it. You're busy. I'm busy, right? It's hard, right? So the school district, improving the school district will improve the community. Now, that's again a return on investment. That's a 10x for me. You feel me? Like because I mean a 2x is the police department. You feel me? Because we already know we can't really get over that blue line that they have.
Can I throw a wrench?
Go ahead, throw it. You got all types of wrenches when I talk. Go ahead. Let's where your wrench at.
So if we invested in the school district, and I'm not saying that's a bad way to spend money. We definitely need to improve the school district.
Right.
But in Chester's current state, with housing infrastructure that's not where it should be, and a police force that's not where it should be, and a business district that is over town, that is improving. That is the most progress we've seen in Chester in years. That's not where it needs to be. And you infuse true progress into the school district. Mm-hmm. What you're going to then create is a bunch of people that can do better, and that's going to choose to likely do better somewhere else.
Well, they can choose to do better in their community, right?
I choose that, but yeah, but
you can choose to do bad somewhere.
Hear me out.
Go ahead.
Your school district puts you in a situation that you can perform well, and then the next step is I'm going to apply that and get a trade, or I'm going to apply that and go to college, right? So I can be a contribution to the economy.
Okay, 8 years.
Okay. Now, at this point, I'm thriving. I'm making money. I'm starting a family. Do I necessarily want to bring my family back to a failing housing infrastructure and a violence to police ratio that doesn't match declining violent rates, for lack of a better term, right? So I think the route that the city on is phenomenal, right? I think crime rates have gone down significantly.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Having the female police chief, that's a win for diversity.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of things. I think when I think about how to attack the larger infrastructure plan, right? It's kind of like a military operation.
Mm.
One doesn't matter, or how should I put this? They all do not weigh the same in terms of priority.
No, they don't.
Right? But you can't go after one and not the other.
Yeah, so that's why we have multiple people. It's not just one person doing it. It's me and you up here right now. You understand all that money talk. You feel me? If I'm a person that doesn't really understand money, then I'm gonna come to you for you to explain it to me. Right? You say, all right, P, listen, I found $18,000. You got $18,000. What you gonna do with it? First thing I'm doing with it is going out into the community, right? Because we got to figure out what the community needs. Can we bring this money back? Can this money come back again? Absolutely. It'll be here every year around this time. Get it done. You already know what I want to do with the $18,000, but you understand the money thing. You feel me? Like, and that's the problem. We don't have people working in unison with each other. We have people that feel as though they in their lane. I'm gonna stay in my lane. I'm gonna just look at him and judge him, and it doesn't equate to anything good and necessary for our children. I have 8 children, 23 all the way down to 5 years old. One's a college graduate. I told her the other day, all right, I need you to talk to somebody that understands investments so you can start investing some of this money you're about to start making. Her little sister, same thing. Her sister right underneath of her. Taylor, Pilar, and JP are my oldest children. I want them in 5 years to understand the trade market, the Forex market, every market there is out there, on top of understanding themselves, right? On top of understanding what they want to see. Because when they get that information, then they pass it on down to their sisters and their brothers. You feel me? But we don't live in a society that appreciates the sharer. What we appreciate is being able to do it ourselves and knocking that person off. And that's why we stay stuck where we are. You feel me? So I understand what needs to happen in the community. You understand the money. Andrew understands what needs to happen in the community and money. Mr. Tom Outland understands communication and community, right? Different people, Rosie understands how to lift people up and get people to think better about themselves. But we have to work in unison together to get everything in there and once everything lines up, it'll work for us. I'm telling you it will. I believe it will, right? I don't see no problem with that. But we need a brother like you to stop telling us that we're doing it the wrong way. And
hey, I don't think the world ready for a brother like me, or at least my home, right? And I'm always going to refer to my home.
I am, bro. I am ready for a brother like you because you bring understanding to a where people don't have any understanding. Let's talk about buying a home, right? If you could walk people through the process of buying a home and becoming a tax-paying citizen, you understand what I'm saying? And understand what that does, not only for them, but for their family. You feel me? To be in Chester, to buy a home, to say, all right, this is what I own, this is what I do, this is how I move it. We don't have anybody explaining that to us. We don't have anybody coming in and saying, listen, I don't need to make no money. I want all of us to win. You talked about the other day, getting 1,000 people to kick in, what, $5? Or how many people? You said 10,000, I don't know.
No,
but
yeah, 10,000.
That was an idea that I had, you feel me, way back in 2017. I talked to brother Jamil and we talked about it. We said we just need 10,000 people to agree to donate $5 a month. You said how much money that is? That's property. We could buy property. Now we're moving as a group. It won't take long before we can own 10,000 parcels.
I mean, practically you can execute it. The likelihood of it happening is low because there's bigger issues that need to be addressed before you can even come with like arguably a grandiose idea. And it's an idea I had. I still think it's a degree of grandiose, right? Like it's too outside of the normal operation for people, right, up front to work. And you can say, oh, it's only $5. 100% it's only $5, but we're also asking 10,000 people to believe in something that they've never seen, right? And it's kind of doubling back to the religious kind of argument. If I'm speaking from my personal values, my personal beliefs, I do think that there is an ability for people to go out here and do well. especially as you relate it back to real estate. I do think there are some hiccups in the system that makes it a little challenging, but there are ways around it. And working together makes it easier to overcome. There's multiple ways that you can go about achieving this. I prefer the individual, or I won't say individual, but the smaller community approach. So 4 or 5 people working together to try and achieve it, as opposed to the idea of 10,000. And I'll just lay it out. I think the Black community needs to get more comfortable with utilizing the landlord perspective of Section 8. I can acknowledge that in a lot of cases, right, if I start to make more money, or at least if more money is reported on my tax return, that takes me out of the requirements for government assistance, right? And so if I lose some assistance, then it negatively impacts my ability to support my children. And so now that puts me in a position where I have to figure out ways to essentially make money under the table. I'm not knocking anybody's hustle. If you have to make money under the table to keep your financial assistance going, by all means, but we have to think bigger. I like to talk about what a household could do, like one family. Mexicans do it all the time. There's actually a house
on Curlin Street.
Not even just Curlin, bro. There's one older than Curlin. It's the one. It's 23rd Street. It's 23rd Street down the street from it's in the same neighborhood as EG's and Lee's. It's on 23rd. It sits on the corner. It's across from those apartments. I can't think of the apartments' names, but this was an individual house, and then they bought the house next door, right? And then obviously they made it somewhat of a bigger house. I don't know if they legally zoned it or not, but a bunch of Mexicans.
I know a house, right? The corner house.
Yeah, a bunch of they lived there, and they would live there in numbers.
Right.
There also was like 2 or 3 garages, 4 garages out back. They started working.
All right, we don't want to drop locations. You know, ICE running around here.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. But they did it. They did it.
But they're willing to do it. That's the problem. We don't have enough people that are willing to sacrifice the sneakers, the clothes, the hair, the nails, and everything else. You feel me? They just want it.
They
want to acquire it.
That's our fault. Do you agree that that's our fault?
Absolutely. So how do we change that?
Well, there's only 2 ways you can change it. You have to be willing to sacrifice, and you have to be willing to trust. But we echo across our community not trusting each other. That's the biggest issue, right? And unpopular opinion, popular opinion, depending on who you talk to, right? But I'm name dropping at this point, right? Let's call a spade a spade. I'm name dropping. I think the community at large is too hard on Thaddeus Kirkland. It is what it is, bro. It is what it is. And here's why. I'm not saying that he's justified for everything that he's done. I'm not saying he was a perfect politician. What I am saying is he was the first one to make it into those rooms. Whether he navigated those rooms the best, that's not a part of the argument. The argument is he was the first one. Being a part of any organization and being called the first Black person in the room, that comes along with so much. Hear me out. You gotta let me cook. That comes along with so much.
He wasn't the first Black person in the room. That's number one. Right?
From Chester?
No.
Who was before?
You talking about state rep? How far did he go? Stop. You just said something. Who was the state rep before him?
That was before my time.
But then he wasn't the first Black person in the room. You can't say, "Oh, on my time, I'm seeing the first Black person in the room."
Here's why I'm putting him as the first.
Mm-hmm.
from my existence, and this is speaking from a limited window, right? I was born in '93, so I'm going to talk to who was in the rooms at the decline of Chester, right? So Chester used to thrive. Chester, when you look at 291, there used to be a bunch of manufacturing plants, you know, companies that you can go and work for. And now when you look at our infrastructure, it's gone, right? And so who was the first ones in the room from Chester that have a melanated complexion post the decline of Chester's economy? As far as I know, from my limited experience, I guess, for my age set, right, I'm going to say Thaddeus, and I'm going to say Wendell Butler, acknowledging that this was around the same era of Pelegi. Is that not factual?
I'll give it to you. You can have it, because one thing I'm not going to do is argue with you. I told you that yesterday, right? So I understand what you're saying, right? People can be too hard. Personally, I have no gripe. I have no gripe with Thaddeus Kirkland. Personally, I have no gripe with Wendell Butler. Professionally, and as the mayor of the city of Chester, there was a ton of stuff that he left undone. And because he left shit undone, other things happened. This goes back well before him, right? When we talk about the corruption that plagued our city, the city was corrupt way before Thaddeus Kirkland, Wendell Butler, Dominic Pelegi, and everybody else, right? So
what's your opinion on Obama?
Huh?
What's your opinion on Obama?
What do you mean, my opinion? He was a president. It's like just like all the other presidents. He did what he was allowed to do.
Allowed, or what he had the help to do?
No, he did what he was allowed to do. Just like every other. There's no president that goes, and you know this. There's no president that goes in there, because if it wasn't, they wouldn't be making a big fuss over Trump doing it, and goes in there and just disrupts every fucking thing. Yeah, if Obama would have done any of the things that Trump has done, he would have been dead in 2 weeks. Shot.
But again, you're not acknowledging what Trump has that Trump. You're not acknowledging what Trump has that Obama did not have.
He's white. I don't need to acknowledge that.
It's not just the fact that he's white. It goes back to what leverage do you have? And when you're the first black person in the room, your leverage is low. People follow other people for two reasons, for the most part: financial capital or leverage, right? And we can talk about leverage and talk about like negative leverage, which is like blackmailing people. But for the most part, if we're talking about a degree of positive leverage, it's finances, right? And then the second way to kind of sway the audience is them believing in your dream and or process or what you're trying to go to, and which is harder to achieve, right? Because hear me out. Obama's leverage was hope. Obama's leverage was, I'm a black person and I am embracing my blackness, but I am acknowledging that our country has progressed and I want to progress it more. So Obama sold hope. Trump.
And did you buy hope?
I did. I went out in the rain and helped park cars when Obama came to Chester before I could vote. And then once I could vote, when I was in college, I was at the polls immediately to vote for Obama. But voting for Obama is just this. That's not even the tip of the iceberg.
So for me, I changed my whole life.
At the federal level,
right? I changed my whole life. You feel me? Because Obama showed me something different that I could believe in myself a little bit more, right? So he didn't have to. I get it. The reparations is cool. You feel me? But you broke down what will really benefit us, right? How the FHA loans we can get some just for black people, right? You broke all that stuff down, right? For me, because you said we're too hard on Thaddeus Kirkland. I think the people that voted Thaddeus Kirkland out were just tired of playing the same game. You feel me? And they wanted somebody else to be in there, right?
I don't disagree with the fact that they were tired of a game. My issue is that when you're on the sideline, you don't even understand how to play it. Right. Yeah, this is a bigger, but this is a bigger issue. right?
That's the majority
We're
of us.
criticizing. You got to understand that we're criticizing the player, and we don't understand the cards, right? It's no different. It's no different than watching. You gotta hear me out. It's no different than if you were on the sideline watching somebody play tunk, right? Everyone's dealt some cards. You don't know what everybody got, and all that you can judge is their ability to win. But while this person is playing tunk, they are switching their hand in order to get their spread multiple times if they're not dealt a good enough spread to win the game, right? Or if they're not low enough or high enough, they call whatever they want to call to get out of the game. All I'm arguing is that when you are the first person in the room, you are navigating these spaces by yourself. I've done it. And whether I'm criticized positively or negatively, no one understands what it's like until you are in that room, in the spaces where people discredit you before you open your mouth, what you're going to do. All I'm making the argument is that he was one of those people. And as the people that saying, oh, well, you didn't stand up for me, you weren't in the room.
Nigga, I'm one of those people.
Here's an example.
Me, by myself. I'm one of those people, right? That walked into a whole room of communication, and I got to go up Philly and deal with big name people that do things way bigger than me. You feel me? And I got to be able to stand up in that room, but you got to stand on integrity. You got to make sure you're doing something for someone else. It can't just be about you. And I get it, right? That's the whole. I guess what's got everybody in a tizzy or got people upset. No one was judging Thaddeus Kirkland on what he did for himself, because you see what he did for himself. He was able to increase his portfolio. You feel me? But how can you increase your portfolio in a city that's falling apart and you think it's okay? Not judging him. And I want him to be able to hear this, and I want his followers to be able to hear this, and his people. I'm not judging. You brought Thaddeus Kirkland up, not me.
Hear me out.
You feel me? But you can't. What we won't do is say it's okay to not do what you should do for your people when that's your whole fucking job. You're not a real estate agent. You are a mayor.
So let me
cook. A mayor of a community that needs leadership. And if you can't lead, then you shouldn't be in there. Period.
So let me cook.
Go ahead. I'm always letting you cook.
I'm
about to put up everything Tom Outland said about you doing religion to piss you off. Go ahead.
Number one, when we talk about Thaddeus, right? If I was to become the mayor, I have a background in real estate, right? Hold on, what did he say? Because I was rapping.
Right, go ahead. Right.
All right, I'll address that after this point, because I got to address the bigger point. I have a background in real estate.
Yes, you do.
Not only do I have a background in real estate, but I know how to navigate real estate. Are we then making the argument that if I was to decide to put my hat in the ring at politics, that I should stop advancing my own life?
Ooh, what is his portfolio? Oh,
referring to mine?
No, she's talking about Thaddeus's portfolio. I don't know what Thaddeus's portfolio is. Right? Tell Thaddeus to show us his portfolio. As a matter of fact, Miss Joan Neal, right? Don't start with me. Keep on going.
It doesn't matter what his portfolio is. We can't criticize someone for progressing their own life. Now, you can make the argument he progressed his life, but the city didn't necessarily progress. But we don't know the adversaries that is against Chester, right? In certain rooms, right? Or certain beliefs that has to be crushed for progress to happen in Chester. And more importantly, when we talk about like Obama, I asked about Obama for a reason, right? People can criticize Obama for what he did or didn't do. Most of the time for the non-believers in Obama, they're going to criticize him for the things he didn't do. But ultimately, in order for Obama to operate at like maximum strength, Black people needed to get out and vote again, and they didn't. They didn't get out and vote for their state bodies. They didn't go out for these local offices. They didn't go out and vote at the county level. You know what Trump supporters did? They did. They went out and voted at all those levels. You know what else they did? He went into it with financial leverage, right? And so we talked about two types of leverage. Obama only got elected, right, or had the financial capital because for the first time, a bunch of people were willing to donate $5, $10. And that matters. That helped him run his campaign. 100% that matters. But Trump was coming at this thing with people donating 10 million, 30 million.
Because they know they were buying a portion of the presidency.
We already acknowledged that that's been the political game since America's existence. Why are we debating?
But it has never been this like out in the open.
Yes, it has.
When? Give me the
Clinton.
president that
Clinton.
What? Okay, all right.
Clinton.
What did Clinton do?
Clinton is arguably the worst president in American history, and
we
we glorify him. You know why he's the worst president? Under Clinton's administration, we outsourced and offsourced so many jobs. It's the current reason why our economy is failing. NAFTA was a joke.
Who glorifies Clinton?
Black people talk about Clinton, JFK, and Martin Luther King in the same conversation as if they helped the black community. I think.
This is what you did, right? You did this, right? You did this Thaddeus Kirkland stuff. That's why I don't. I keep telling you, I didn't speak negatively about Thaddeus Kirkland. I didn't say anything negative about Thaddeus Kirkland. And this is what happens when people follow someone. You can tune in for when I say something terrible, but where are you at when I'm out in the community helping people? You can tune in and jump on here and say something to me when I say something like, did he not increase his portfolio? Does he not own, like, is him and Ron's, like, I get, like, please, Miss Joan Neal, I love you. I swear to God, I do. But that's not what this show is about, right? That's not, and I try my best not to mention anything because I don't want nothing. I don't want to prove anything. So if you don't want to help out, if you don't want to do anything for the community, please don't ask me stupid questions like that.
Yeah, so let's see. The problem is I love comments, right? Let's not respond to the comments as if we're giving up on the conversation or trying to pivot away from it. Let's address it as it is, right? So I think whether I can agree or disagree with someone, if there is a degree of progress that we can achieve together, right? What's the old adage? The enemy of the enemy is my friend. How does that go? This is
what we're gonna do. Let's invite Thaddeus to come on to the show. Culture Uncut. That you feel as though, and that could I serve our community. You work at the school district, and the school district is one of the main things that you're trying to dismantle and throw away and get rid of, Nasir. Am I right about the school district?
Am I trying to throw it away?
Yeah.
I would say I'm trying to throw it away. I think a lot of it needs to be torn down. I don't think
right. Majority of it does, right? But yeah, we can bring him through. What would we call him? Would he be a part of Legacy Builders? Thaddeus Kirkland would be a part of the Legacy Builder situation?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I mean, everybody is open to criticism. This is what I'm trying to like.
Not in this city. Not in this city, bro. If you're not with somebody, imply he has a portfolio off the backs of his community. I implied that Thaddeus Kirkland has a portfolio just like everybody else has a portfolio. And if you could show me that his portfolio was smaller than before than it is now, that's something different. That is something completely different. There are properties that were bought up. There are things that happened in our community, right? And I don't want to dig into that. I said I didn't want to dig into that, Ms. Joan Neal. So you're
Pete, dig into it. And this is a part of a healthy. We're talking about Culture Uncut. We're talking about healthy conversations. This is a conversation that needs to be had, right? And we have to come to grips with being right and being wrong. If someone wants to come on and challenge my perspective of things, by all means, somebody try to challenge my perspective of religion. What we're currently talking about is political gain and being a part of a process, right?
I can't say anything, Dante. You know, as soon as I mention anybody, man, you don't know that. I don't know what, and you don't know that he does. This is because he don't put his name on it. Don't mean he don't have a business inside of it or he not benefiting from it. But anyway, like I said, it doesn't really matter what we were talking about, right? I get so So frustrated, bro. All the
Yeah,
time.
I wouldn't get too frustrated about it, and I'm saying I wouldn't get too frustrated about it because
No, because I realized what it has done to my career. You understand what I'm saying? I realize how doors have been shut in my face because I mentioned this man. That's why I don't mention him, bro. That's why I don't mention nothing that he do no more. I've had people call me. I've been at work and they sitting there talking about he on the phone, sitting there talking about get rid of you, fire you, let you go. You feel me? Because I said something. You feel me? It's not like he doesn't do that, and he's done that before, and he doesn't care. You feel me? And I'm not worried about it. I saw him at a funeral. I shook his hand. I ain't got no beef with you, bro. Go ahead, do your thing. You continue to do whatever you're doing. If you think it's benefiting our school district or our community doing what you're doing, continue to do it. I don't, and we can have a difference of opinion there and leave it there, right?
right. I think that is the conversation. One person has a perspective, the other has a perspective, and there needs to be inroads in how
Let
we
him say
figure
that.
out.
Let him come forward. I don't want nobody that's standing behind him to come forward to me because I don't understand why you're coming forward.
Well, I mean, that's kind of, I wouldn't agree with that position, right?
You would defend me? You would defend me on things that you don't know 100% about? If somebody said I was stealing money, would you defend me?
I think the disciples defended Jesus, and they didn't understand all of Jesus' power.
They did not defend Jesus. They turned on Jesus. Jesus was on the cross, and Peter. What did Peter say? What did he tell Peter? Peter was going to do?
Jesus. Okay, so we're talking religion. Jesus told them
real quick.
Jesus told them. What did you say?
What did Jesus tell him they were going to do?
Jesus told him he was going to be persecuted, and he told them not to step in. I am going to die for our sins. That was the whole point of it. But prior to Jesus getting up on this cross, right?
He was cutting off ears and stuff like that.
Anytime someone tried to defame Jesus or talk ill about Jesus, the disciples stepped in, right? I think that's been clear throughout the Bible, especially when we talk about Peter. So, like, I don't know where you're going with that. I think it's fair for someone to step in.
I think it's good when people can step up and step in when negative things are said. I didn't say anything negative. I just said his portfolio grew. That's it. And is that not what happened?
Right. I guess not to play devil's advocate, but why is that a concern?
It's a concern because our community is losing. You want to tear down all of Sun Village. You want to tear down all of Sun.
Hear me out. I'm not denying that the community needs help, but ultimately, and this is the point that I'm trying to make, I am in real estate.
Right.
I've always been in real estate.
Right.
If I decided to run for any position in Pennsylvania, does that mean that I have to then stop doing what I was doing in real estate? I got 4 doors now. If I took a position, you're saying I can't continue to acquire doors? You
were, put it back. You were in real estate prior to running. That's what you were doing. So just keep doing that, right? Just keep doing that. You shouldn't be benefiting from understanding that the properties are cheaper over here so you can acquire them just because you're in office. Information that you have access to that normal buyers don't have access to, you shouldn't be buying properties off of that information. You agree that that's okay? Yes or no? It's not a long drawn out answer. Nasir.
It is.
Yes
It is a long drawn out answer.
No, it's not. It's a yes or no.
It is. It is. The economy is going to run whether I am in a seat or not. Right? The argument, what we're doing is applying inference. What you're doing is inferring that he benefited off of some legislation that he was able to pass that helped him acquire.
I didn't say that. I said,
but then if that's not
property value is lower and he has the list and he knows where to buy the property at.
If that's not what
the list from other people.
If that's not what you're inferring, then what is the point of the statement? You got to understand when we frame arguments, the
point of the statement is to prove that somebody's doing their job correctly and making sure that everybody has the same rights that you have. You're just a regular person, no matter what position you're in.
It's not about rights. Acquiring real estate is about resources. At being in a job that pays well and having the knowledge to acquire real estate has nothing to do with the legislation that's being passed or my ability to hide a list.
There ain't no legislation being passed. You
So
just
that's a whole nother argument. What are you arguing? There's legislation that passed.
Man,
there's legislation that passed. Let's talk about the current legislation.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Let's talk about Stephon Roots, right? Stephon Roots just passed legislation,
right,
along with his body of people that are in the seat, right? Okay. That legislation, and I'm gonna embellish because it came out like maybe 4 months ago. I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was an ordinance on residential real estate, right? It was essentially a referendum on landlords throughout the city, right? Like now landlords have to pay, I think it was like $100 for every property they own for being a landlord if you're renting it out. If you own more than 3 properties, you only have to pay $50 per property. You can't kick somebody out of your house if they, or you can't negatively affect a tenant if they had issues during a domestic dispute. If they did something to the house and it was regarding domestics, and I'm embellishing, I can go back and look at the legislation, right, and look at the ordinance that was passed to really speak with some degree of like, certainty. But when I read it, I was honestly disappointed.
You were disappointed.
I was disappointed.
You were disappointed. Why?
Because I don't think that the legislation properly addresses the concerns of both sides of the argument. Yeah. So in this case, the ordinance was an attempt to address tenant concerns with slumlords, while also addressing minimally the concerns of people that are landlords. I don't think it properly addressed the concerns of landlords, right? I think some landlords are slumlords. I don't think all landlords are slumlords. And too often what I've seen from my experience and from my friends' experience that own real estate, we don't go into any property or have the plan to be a slumlord. That never happens, right? What does happen, especially when you're dealing with, go ahead.
You're speaking for you.
No, I'm not just
you are not. Please do not say you are speaking for all the landlords out here, bro. You can't do that because you just told me that. What you call that? That's inference. Ain't that what you said?
No, what you're referring to now is generalization.
Generalization, right? So you can't do that. You can speak for you and the properties that you buy, the way that you own your properties. It's tons of slumlords in this city. There's tons of people that got things, all types of stuff growing, and the landlord ain't worried about it. Why? Because 9 times out of 10, the woman's on Section 8 and she got her boyfriend living in the house. 9 times out of 10, she don't know that she can go over to the courthouse and talk to anybody. So this is just throwing a red flag and saying, listen, whatever's happening in this space, he now has to come forward and say, yes, I'm the landlord on this space. And then they say, all right, well, we got this tenant that has this issue with that. Other than that, there's no way to know who owns what property. And now we know. So we throw a red flag in it. So for all the properties that you own, if you don't own 3, kick up your $100. Just pay it. What's the problem?
So where's that? Okay. And so another thing, where's the money going?
I don't know. Go ask them.
Right. So Pete, this is what I'm talking about. You're criticizing the point that I'm making before I even finish the point.
Oh no, I got your point. I understand your point.
Okay.
But I'm at a point where whatever needs to be done for our community just needs to be done. They were talking about the parking over. Listen, check it out. Check it out. They were talking about the parking over town, right?
Mm-hmm.
How that was terrible. Yes, it was high, but it was money that was needed for if the money goes in the right places, it's cool. No problem.
Hey, give me 2 seconds. I got a guess that didn't. Let me give me about. It's about a checkout. My cleaner can't get into the property.
Man, listen, look, it's 1:19. Let's get back together on Wednesday. Let's do this next Wednesday. We can come forward. I'm gonna reach out to Thaddeus Kirkland, see if he wants to be a guest, so he can come up here and talk about his portfolio. I'm not trying to draw nothing out of nobody. I'm not trying to destroy anybody. I swear to God, I'm not. You feel me? I promise you that his name was brought up because Nasir brought him up. Nasir was saying he doesn't like how the community is hard on Thaddeus Kirkland, and I just
That's a
said,
fact. I brought it up. That is on me.
and all I said was maybe they're just concerned with the fact that his portfolio grew while he was in office, right? There, you can't tell me it didn't. You can't tell me he didn't make money. You can't tell me he wasn't able to do different things that other people are not able to do. And I get it. That's his position or whatever. I don't want no smoke with Thaddeus Kirkland. I have no issue with Thaddeus Kirkland. I love Thaddeus Kirkland. Thaddeus Kirkland and my mother were friends. I don't have no issue. And I don't want to tear anybody down. But one thing that won't continue to happen is people keep on attacking me and stopping my flow and talking about what I'm not doing in my community. For 8 years, I've been in this community, giving out of my pocket, giving from whatever I made, had jobs, was helping people, really. And you calling people and talking about me. So we're not going to do that, right? So I don't have no problem with him. You feel me? I have no issue. As a matter of fact, I voted for him in the last election. You feel me? Because it was the devil I knew. You understand what I'm saying? So these are the things that people don't know. I don't have no problem with talking about what I've done. You can bring it up. We can have that issue. You feel me? We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. But what we won't do is jump on here and make it seem like I was coming for him when I wasn't. So Miss Joan Neal, I want you to understand. I'm not judging him, right? Again, you don't know that. Okay, then I don't know that. Again, you don't know that either. If I don't know it, you don't know it. So why are you defending him? He's not on here defending himself. You feel me? You want to, what? Don't get me. Listen, I don't want to turn into Jameer with the journalism and get the investigating and finding out. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to be nice. You feel me? Shout out to Jameer with the journalism, man. Make sure you're tuning into him every morning and following his podcast, man. I'm just, you did this.
It definitely. Jameer with the journalism is a good resource. I definitely be tapping in on Jameer.
You did this. You did the
because I mentioned the name.
Yes, man. He who shall not be spoken, bro. We do not mention his name around here, bro. I do not mention his name, bro. You don't understand. You don't understand. The people that I've talked to, that I've gone there and had conversations with, and they like, yeah, we talked to this, and he said you do this. I don't do none of that stuff.
What's the name? What's the name of the show?
The name of what show?
This one.
Culture Uncut.
And so we as a community have to stop picking straws at what we like and don't like and bring a degree of toxicity to the conversation. There is a place, hear me out, there is a place to have a conversation, whether you agree with somebody or disagree with somebody, right? Not everybody agreed with W.E.D. Du Bois and how he's seen the world. That's okay, right? That is okay. But we have to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, we talk about it by not coming for me. Like don't come for me. Don't talk. Don't say anything to me. You already know. You feel me? Like that things don't always add up for the best people. I love my community. I love the citizens in my community. I love even the lowest part. When I first started the radio station, I was in the bar talking to people that needed help, that needed to understand that they had a gift inside of them, I'm all about inspiring and giving good motivational conversation, bro. So I don't really want to tear anybody down. I was never tearing anybody down, right? What I was asking for was for us to pull up to City Hall and him to go live. What I was asking for was the radio station, or for him to do the city council meetings live online. That's why people are watching it now. And that's why people are getting more information now. That's when you inform your constituents, you have more informed constituents, and then things can move forward. But when you don't want to inform nobody, you got everybody pointing fingers at you. So I wasn't trying to call anybody out. And Miss Joan Neal, no disrespect. I love you. I want you to have a great day on purpose, with purpose, right? I'm just anxious to see what he does for our children since the community voted him on the school board. What was his platform when he was a state rep? Let's see if he holds to his words now. So I'm not even going to do
That's
that.
a whole nother argument. Even talking about the election of the school board process, there was people that got elected on the school board that like you knew nothing about their background and why they should be considered to even be on the school board, right? So like, I'm not criticizing anyone to say that they don't deserve to be there.
Miss Joe Neal was on the school board. She was the president of the school board for years. She was doing, like,
Hear me out. I know we're about to wrap it up, but as a society, not even a society, as a community, we have to do a better job at making decisions before we pull the trigger to vote for anybody, whether that be an elected official over town in City Hall or an elected official that's serving on the school board. The point that I'm making is that the desire to want to do something good for the city is only the bare minimum requirement. What we tend to do is make a lot of our elected officials revolve around this idea of being elected as if it's a popularity contest. It's not. Hear me out. It's not a popularity contest. Let me finish. Regardless of how you feel like it's being executed, at its foundation, it is not designed to be a popularity contest.
That's what it is.
Regardless, P. I'm saying that
the president won the popular vote, even all the way up to the top. The president, the popular vote. It's a popularity contest.
That's not true.
That's why Trump won.
That's not true. That's not true. Because if we're making that argument that Hillary Clinton would have won the first time she ran against Donald Trump, she won the popular vote. She lost the electoral college.
And why did she lose the electoral college?
Because the elected officials that determine the electoral college didn't vote her way. And so now so this is how we have healthy conversations, right? It's not just money. It's not just money. Because now
what is it about then?
It's not just money. Money definitely plays. I always said money had a part to play.
Then you have, when I put my hand up like that, you say absolutely, P. Because if it's not just money, what else is it? Because I'm not putting my hand up for the other things that it is. Because we already know it's Epstein Island, it's all that, it's all that stuff, bro. All that stuff, and everybody is included. Everybody wanted the files to come out so they can jump on Trump. Now you see that everybody's included. Jay-Z, Pusha T. Everybody's included in this letter. Everybody had contact with him. Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. Everybody was talking to this man. So what we do now, when we realize that everybody's corrupt, when we realize that you can't put anything in anybody's hand and realize that they're going to do anything out of the kindness of their heart. When everybody wants, say it again.
Turn to Jesus. Because everybody's a sinner. I'm back there again. What's your point?
I'm so happy for you, bro. Like literally, like because this is new conversation that we're having. This turn to Jesus situation, right? And I am so proud of you that you found a church to go to. You found a home. You feel me? Because I'm gonna speak for me. I have sinner ways. I wasn't always this man that's here right now trying to hold people accountable to show up for their community. You feel me? I'm trying to tell you to put down that basket full of bread, bro. We got to help the community. We got to feed the community. We got to make sure these kids understand who they are. See, before it was just a whole bunch of arguing and fussing and yelling going on, which makes the kids just want to be violent. If they see that every day, that's all they want to be is violent. So we need the people at the top to present the traits and the attributes that we should show every day. If they're not displaying that, then the kids are just going to continue to be violent and keep on destroying things. I was in that community. I was out there 4 years, from 2020 to 2024, talking to young men in our community, helping young men in our community, doing things for our community. I helped every fucking way I could. Other brothers was helping out. Corey Long, Gio, everybody that's in there right now and that's doing everything. I couldn't stay in that circle. I lost my mother. I lost my heart. And really, I didn't care about where anybody was. So for me right now to be here and to have this opportunity to do this podcast with you, I said we could talk about anything. I didn't think you would bring up he who shall not be named, though. You feel me? Because as soon as you mention his name, they jump on here and they get to attacking me because they come for me. As soon as they don't go for nobody else, they come for me.
Hey, listen, my apologies for bringing up, I guess, he who shall not be named. But
thank you, appreciate it.
I want to say this though. I didn't bring up Thaddeus Kirkland for contention, right? He was not brought up to spar, any degree of negativity. He was brought up to say that everyone has an opinion, but until you're sitting in the seat, you don't necessarily know who the opposition is, and this would extend to Stefan Roots as well, right? This would extend to John Linder. This would extend to Wendell Butler. This would extend to every mayor that Chester has had, right? Until you're sitting in the seats, until you're going to the meetings, until you're rubbing elbows with people that are either for or against Chester, you don't know the full weight of the argument. And that's the gripe that I was getting at, right? When John Linder was in the seat, half of the dang on elected officials didn't get along with him. And I know John Linder.
Okay.
John Linder. I know John Linder. Not so much so personally, but I got to watch him do good things for the community. He was my principal, right, at Village Charter, and I was a troubled kid, right? Like I stayed in trouble. And John Linder, what is his name? Harry Stackhouse, I think was his last name. He was a disciplinarian. And Mr. Bayot, Mr. Williams, bruh. Like those three individuals during my time at Village Charter helped turn me around. Now, sometimes they use a means of hitting the heartstrings and making you try and do better just by telling you need to do better. And sometimes they
smack you upside the back of your head and say, "Boy, you better."
Sometimes they made you carry some textbooks for an hour or something. Who knows, right? But the point of it is, I know his vision at the time, right? Because he also John Linder's. Right. He also was able to get Delaware Community College to start offering classes at the school level, right? To help you get credits even while you're in high school, right? I know things were happening, but people disagreed with some of the things he did. That's okay. That is perfectly okay.
Who disagreed with some of the things that he did?
The specific names I'm not going to mention because again, we're not trying to create contention on this podcast.
No,
right?
I don't know of anybody that didn't agree with John Linder. I know there was a couple things happening statewide, right? And that is, I don't know. I think when we think about where did a person, it's like that. What's it called when they break down Marvel? What's the name of their breakout story? What's the name? How you describe that? This is my stroke coming up right now. I can't really remember. When you deal with a Marvel character and they show their origin story, right? The origin story for me, for Thaddeus, you feel me? Because I was with his campaign. I was when Al Jacobs was running for mayor. You feel me? I got my ass whooped by 2 police officers because I was out there helping him, right? The origin story for me is in the school board meeting when Thaddeus shows up and Pileggi's in there and Pileggi tells him to shut up, grown folks are talking. Then he pull out his sword. I told him in the meeting that we had with him, I said, now it's time to put that sword up because there's no more Republican Party. Who are you fighting against? There's no Republican Party in the city. Who are you fighting against? And if you're for the people and there's no Republican Party, who are you fighting against? There's nobody that could ever come in here and take this power from you, but you can lose it.
Well, I think part of the conversation would then be understanding that the opposition that Chester faces is not necessarily within Chester. Chester is within a larger county, right? And at the end of the day, what Chester is advocating for is a fair shake at resources. Well, those resources, right, in terms of like city infrastructure, are being divided amongst the county. And so Chester is not in opposition with just Chester. Chester's in opposition with every city in the county.
So let's stop fighting with each other and start fighting with everybody else that's continuing to take money out of the city.
I mean, that's always been
the city has funded multiple municipalities in Delaware County
and continue to do so.
It's funded several. Like we got a Penn's Landing right here that was sold to Philadelphia. You ever figure out who sold that to Philadelphia?
I wouldn't even. Don't get me wrong. I think that was under Pileggi's era.
No, it wasn't. That's Jack Nicrelli. Pileggi wasn't even. He was a baby. Jack
Really?
Nicrelli. Yes, had nothing to do with Pileggi.
I thought that was Pileggi's era.
No, nothing to do with Pileggi. Jack Nicrelli, 1974, when he came home from jail. And guess what he ended up doing after he came home from jail? He went to work at the school district. And guess what he did? He put a bunch of ghost employees on there to get pensions and all that other stuff. So things have been taken from our community for years.
So this is good, right? We can't use that knowledge to just shed light on it. We have to use that knowledge.
Like I've been talking about that shit. I've been talking about it since I started the radio station. Anybody that knows me knows that about me. I never put any blame on Thaddeus for anything. I said, this is not your fault. Receivership, it's not your fault. Work with the receiver. You have to work with the receiver to figure out what we can do. Why are you not working with the receiver? Why you don't want to let them in the books? It's a problem when you don't want to let somebody that comes to help into the books. You don't think that's problematic? If you were the receiver and were coming to help me with the books at CMP and I didn't let you in, what would you think? Please answer the question.
Oh, I thought it was rhetorical. I mean, I did. If my job is to be the receiver and you don't want me to look at the books as the receiver, then ultimately you're trying to hide something, right? That's the inference, right? We're inferring that. But also, one could argue, if you can see how the money's spent and my intent was good, and I had a vision,
you open the books. Come on, all of that says you open the books. If you see that my intent is good, if you see that I'm trying to, if you see, so you have to see the book.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Here's why I'm gonna say that's not true. Here's what I'm gonna say that's not true. One of the main reasons that Martin Luther King was successful with the boycotts, right? The bus boycott was we had a bunch of station wagons that helped people not use the bus, right? In the time for the boycott, because we had other resources. The last thing any organization, grassroots organization, needs is somebody evaluating my books. Because if you understand how I'm fighting you, you can thwart me. And I'm not arguing that's the case when it comes to political infrastructure. I'm not arguing that. What I'm arguing is, if you can see the inner workings of my infrastructure, then you can tear that infrastructure down. This is the reason why large corporations have you sign NDAs, right? This is a reason why they have no compete orders when you decide to go to another company or start your own company, right? This is why Marcus Garvey failed, right? Because he was torn down from the inside. Once they understood the infrastructure, it was easier to fight him.
So right? You saying that's what the receiver came to do? Tear us down from the inside?
I'm not necessarily making that argument. I'm saying that if one person in this context, because there's two sides to every story. If one person has the idea that if you come in and you can see how I'm moving, you're going to inevitably redesign the system and make it harder to fight, that would be a reason why I wouldn't want to give up the books. If I'm the receiver and I'm coming in and I'm saying I need to come and see these books so I can see how the city's moving and try and help the situation, then I'm going to argue for transparency. All I'm saying is people are going to make positions based on the situation they're in. As the outside factor, right? Because me and you technically are on the outside, right? We're making assessments of how people are moving, and we're trying to determine or infer what we think is happening. So all I'm saying is there's two sides to every story, And this podcast at least should be serving to get the sides, right?
So you want to talk to the receiver? Who you want to talk to? I mean, you just let me know who you want to talk to.
Why not?
I'll reach out to anybody and bring them up here. You can ask them all the questions you want, right? And that's why I need for this podcast to be where it is, right? You know, I appreciate you. It's been a while since I've done one of these. You feel me? And it's been a while since I've had, you know, people be able to so, you know, my heart started racing, my head. I'm trying not to explode. I don't want to condemn anybody. I don't want to see none of my people be put in a place where they're not free. You feel me? And when I say that, I don't want investigators and everything climbing around our city, because that's not going to do anybody any good. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm trying not to, you know, make accusations and make accusations stick. So please don't mention he who shall not be named. You feel me? And, you know, but you can have an interview with him. I can hit him up and see if he wants to come in and talk to you. You feel me? I won't say anything. I'll tell him that. I won't say anything. You just have a conversation with Nasir. Nasir is more of a, you know, I was going to call you a fluffer, but I don't want to call you a fluffer. That's rude. That's rude. So, you know.
You're crazy. I think my ability is to sit in a room and not condemn either side. I think that's the only way true progress is going to happen. It doesn't mean you don't pick a path, right? You're going to pick how you're going to execute. But I tend to go into the situation as best as I can to try and not be biased.
Yeah, man, we didn't even talk about everything we're going to bring, man. This podcast is going to happen every Wednesday until the 16th, and you start a job, and then it might happen at night, right? Sometimes it might be live, sometimes it won't be live. It'll be recorded, depending on our availability to do anything. But, you know, listen, uncut conversations. These are the conversations that's going to piss you off, make you mad. And we had that today. Listen, we had some people jump on and didn't like what I had to say about people's portfolios growing. Like, that's what happens in life. You feel me? If you invest correctly. Legacy builders. We're going to talk about people that are in our community building their legacy to pass down to next generations. Market check is when my man Nasir takes us on a tour of a property that he's in, or talks about how to buy real estate. I want him to do a real estate class on the radio station, but you know, he's been playing with that for the past 4 years. And the people's question. If you have a question to ask and you want to know some information, or you want us to go do some digging, we don't have a problem with that. Hit us up at Uncle P at cmpradio.net, or give us a question to talk about, to decipher some things, some information that you need. Yeah, we can do that as well. And then, of course, man, Chester Spotlight. What makes you proud to be from Chester? Who makes you proud to be from Chester? Right? We might do some contests up in this joint, man. I'm excited, man. So I appreciate you, Nas. You feel me? For taking the time to do this podcast with me. You feel me? I told you it was gonna get heavy. I told you. And you're muted.
The best part about this is one podcast is down, and we haven't even tipped the iceberg yet on all the things that we're going to cover. I haven't started to talk about real estate or ways for people in Chester to start taking active approaches to acquiring real estate. We haven't talked about political process and how you can grassroots organize. We haven't talked about, I'm a firm believer in mental health and how you can go about getting some things to assist in mental health challenges, or even business infrastructure. I think all of these things are on the table when we have this conversation, and we talk about, culture uncut. Full transparency, my background is in business operations. I started off in the military, getting out of college, recently graduated, got my MBA. And not only am I an investor, I'm a realtor and a property manager. And so that's my background. And so when I'm talking about things, it is going to be from a background of real estate and the operational process. Because when we talk about change, talking about it is one thing. Addressing the people is a whole nother thing. How do you put systems in place to ensure that the negative parts of the system that we've experienced don't happen again? That's what it is. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
I'm excited. Like I said, I appreciate you for you taking out the time to do this, right? And this is what we're gonna do every Wednesday until when, the 16th? All right, we'll announce it when we announce it. But that's the end of the show, man. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. I appreciate all the information that you gave. I appreciate the comments. Listen, I don't have a problem with you holding me accountable. Just make sure you're holding everyone around you accountable the same way, right? CMPRadio.net. This is Culture Uncut with Nasir Young. Holmes. Hey, man, you were supposed to take us on a tour, wasn't you?
I still can. You want to close out with the tour?
Let's close out with the tour, bro. Take us on the tour. Let's see the house that you're in. So this house, let's go over the square footage, all that good stuff that you do, and like walk us through like somebody's coming through to check the house out.
All right, give me 2 seconds to get the
You're okay.
app up, because you threw me back on it. I thought after at this point we was gonna.
No. I want you to do what you said you wanted to do.
That's fair.
Right.
So this.
I got you. Turn your volume on. Unmute your mic. Where you at? Your stuff is frozen. Show that he's still alive. Okay. All right. Unmute your mic.
Can you see me?
Yep, I got you.
All right. Here we go. So before I give the tour, first thing, this is not a property I own personally. Just so everybody know, this is a property that I manage. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom house, 4,000 square feet. It's a beautiful home, completely open concept, split level house that will be on Airbnb. It's actually currently up on Airbnb. The photographer's coming today to take the professional photos. Right now, the photos that are up are just my photos from my phone. So the professional ones will be done today. But I wanted to show the house, one, to help people see how we can get into this business lane through real estate. But then also as a small plug to the person that I'm managing this for anybody that wants to travel to the Atlanta area and you want to make a trip, you don't have to go through Airbnb. You can book directly through me and cut some of the costs because Airbnb is going to charge a hosting fee. And that fee is a percentage, and that percentage can be pretty high sometimes. But we're going to go ahead and start. So right now I'm in the dining room. I'll turn back for the dining room. This is where I shot the podcast. Like I said, it's completely open concept. Stainless steel appliances in the kitchen. Large, expansive 5-chair. 4 are there now, but it's a 5-chair island. Large sectional. That is an 80-inch TV on the wall. And this is upstairs. First thing you're greeted with is the bathroom. Bedroom number 1 with a queen size bed. Bedroom number 2, another queen size bed and a 60-inch TV. Bedroom 3 with an ensuite. That's a king size bed. 80-inch TV and the ensuite along with this one. And then going back downstairs, you have another dining area or living area with another 80-inch TV, another sectional couch, games. You got cornhole, all the outdoor stuff. Coming out back. It's raining out here right now, but it's a fire pit, more seating area, the lights to keep this party going at night, and also a grill for you to use. Very large. This backyard wraps around the property. Very huge backyard. Back there is the laundry room. Not going to show that. You also have a small bar area to go into this flex room. He made it another living space, but obviously this is your flex room. This can be outfitted with a pool table, so on and so forth. But making that second living area helps because downstairs we have another 2 bedrooms, another king size bed, and a 70-inch TV. Bathroom number 3. And the 5th bedroom with another king size bed, fit for a king, and an 80-inch TV to go along with it. So as you can see, no funds were spared outfitting this house. It's definitely going to be a killer rental in the Atlanta market. And if you're interested in coming to Atlanta, hit me up.
Yeah, I say I'll be out there. I'll be out there soon. We can do a culture cut. You feel me? Live from I just drive out there, come check you out, bro. Yeah, stay at the Airbnb on my bro's discount. I appreciate you. Nah, but seriously, man. How did you get into the Airbnb game? Right? What got you into that?
Honestly, what got me into Airbnb, when I originally started investing in properties, I was doing long-term tenants. I started out in Texas, and then I started getting properties in other places. But I was looking at the long-term route, and I was making decent money, but it was a little slower. And so again, we talk about ROI. How do I increase how much money I can bring in? Well, when you go into more of a hospitality hotel platform, you can generate higher revenues. Once I understood how much money you can make being in the Airbnb space, I decided to pivot my properties into short-term rentals. And there are some pretty good returns you can make when you address the market appropriately, but understand what market you're going into and how you're going to outfit the houses. There's different strategies for different markets. In the Atlanta market, it's a very transient place. Atlanta Airport is not the largest airport in square footage, but it does the most volume on average for the year. And so being next to this hub, which is Delta's hub, helps with the transient population. And so that is a good place for an Airbnb rental. Granted, the market is becoming a bit saturated, but there are ways that you can navigate being in somewhat of a semi-saturated market. But to answer your question, I got into Airbnb rentals because I ran the numbers the long way and understood that the percentages I can make in Airbnb are higher than I would make if I was just doing a long-term tenant.
That's definitely dope. Rosie Delva, any properties or land in Delco? Do you own any properties in Delco?
Not for rent, no. Like I said, I've considered investing in Chester specifically, which is why I started to bring up the ordinance because it made Chester. Say it again.
I'm gonna have to pay $100. Just pay the $100.
It's not the $100. It's the total ordinance package as a whole, right? And I'm the type of person when I come in and renovate a house, I'm renovating the house from bottom to top. right?
Yeah,
If
so
the
you don't
roof
have to
needs,
go back and do it again, right? Absolutely.
well, it's not just so I don't have to do it again, right? If it's not broken, I'm not going to fix it, right? But if it's broken, I'm going to replace it. Uh, and so not all investors are created equal. Everybody's not going to look at a property and assess how much money needs to go into it, and that's on them for having a knowledge gap. But depending on the age of a house, if a house was built before 1980, then you have a potential of lead-based paint being in the house. If it was before, I would say 1975, there's a potential that you might have sewer issues, right? So you probably should do a pipe school, which means you're probably going to have to dig up some dirt and put in some new pipes. If the age of your roof is over 15 years old, then you probably got roof damage. And so you want to assess that, right? I think the problem is some investors come into it and they don't necessarily evaluate the property properly. And then you have sellers that want to sell their home for more than it's worth, right? And so if you're trying to sell a home for more than it's worth and you expect me to renovate it, you're decreasing my margins on how much I can make on the backside. I think right now for the state that Chester is in, there is a mix of two stories, right? And then you also have an infrastructure that's not necessarily in place to benefit rehabbers to come in and renovate the market. Is L&I properly situated to go out and do inspections when the builders need to be done? Right now, Chester doesn't have enough revenues to support all of its staff, right? Do you have the property inspectors, beefed up when you don't have and I don't even know if this is the same staff in Chester. It may be, but
It's the
in a
whole.
lot of municipalities, you'll have both the inspector that's going to go in and make sure that things are done to code, and then you're going to have more or less like a roving patrol code enforcement that's going to make, if they see somebody working and it's not permitted, they're going to red tag the house.
Would you
Right?
like to
Those
talk
are,
to the people in charge of that department?
that would be a great conversation to have. And talk about ways to try and get more revenues for L&I, because ultimately if L&I, if I'm a builder and I need this property to go through inspection in the next 3 or 4 days. Now, granted, I'm gonna try and build it out as best as I can in terms of timeline. But for every day that L&I does not go out to a property and I need this this thing inspected for me to continue on my build, for every day you don't come out there, you're costing me money. Right. And so the question then becomes, when we're evaluating Chester's process, how long am I waiting for L&I to come out and do their job?
Not long.
Right. And I don't know necessarily what that timeline is in Chester. I've heard people complain about it, but there's the whole separate argument. I think for me to make fair assessments of Chester, I would need to come back and do a little more. But again, just evaluating the ordinance, it was a deterrent for me to come back and invest. It is what it is.
Well, I'm sorry that it was a deterrent, but we're going to try to get you everything that you need so you can come back here and invest and help our community grow. I know at the core, that's what you want, right? All the other wiggly things that you got going on and your hair is on fire, I understand that, because you're trying to figure out how to make this make sense, because not a lot of stuff makes sense in our community, bro. You feel me? But we also have to have an ear to understand what we can change, what needs to change, and how do we change it collectively, not just one person, collectively as a whole. That's where unity comes in, right? We can have a disagreement. We can have our back and forth. We've had them before, right? But I love you. And I don't love you because of what you can do. I don't love you because of what you see. I love you because you're my brother. And I know you love me for the same reason. You feel me? So let's get this shit. I'm excited. I know you're excited. We're talking to everybody. I want you talking to everybody, right? I've already talked to them, and maybe my questions ain't really hitting where it's supposed to hit to. So this is what we're going to do. We tag teaming, but you're going to be in the ring more than me. It's going to be like, what is it? What was Booker T and his brother's name? Harlem Heat. I'm not Booker T. You Booker T. I'm the brother. So you're gonna be in the ring way more than me. I can't do it. But I appreciate you, bro. Want you to have a good time, man. It's what time is it? It's almost
12:58.
It's almost 1 o'clock. We've been on here for 2 hours. I told you.
Man, the time flew. It wasn't supposed to be 2 hours, but I think 2 hours was a good first episode.
Absolutely. All the shows won't be this long, probably an hour and a half max. But we have tons of topics we could talk about. Remember, send us your questions, man. If you have any questions or anything you want the great Nasir Young to talk about, you feel me? Like, I know y'all tired of hearing from me, right? But the people's question, right? It's important. It's imperative that we get the information you need. And if you know anybody, man, that deserves a Chester spotlight and you want them to come on the show, please let us know, right? Because we're trying to highlight all the good things that are happening in our community moving forward. This is Culture Uncut. I am Uncle P. And who are you?
Holmes with Nasir, man. Listen, I'm going to plug that.
As you should, good brother, as you should. And we out of here, man. CMPradio.net. It's the station. I don't even know how to end this show. How are we going to end it? Be safe, y'all.